So, bro, how'd you get started in creating content? What platform did you start on? Like, tell me a little bit about it.
Unofficially, I guess Instagram. I had at the time my personal Instagram account, and I would just get like bored in traffic, Miami traffic. Obviously, that's
Yeah, you still kind of do that stuff on your stories.
yeah. So I kept it kind of alive because it was kind of like the seed of it all type of thing, and I still kind of get bored in traffic sometimes. Or like I don't know, it's kind of like when you're in the shower and just random ideas come up to you.
Yeah, yeah.
That happens to me when I'm driving often, so I'm just like, let me just
Record it. Yeah.
right. So I started on my personal, just talking shit, and then eventually like people that followed me because they knew me personally was like, yo, you should like make an account, but I never took it seriously because me never, like, you know what I mean, like
Same thing everybody thinks.
right.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, like everyone else, and their lives changed forever. Like people finally decided to let me try something new. So one of my boys, he kind of pushed me. He was like, "Yo, just start the fucking podcast. People keep telling you like, why are you holding back? Now's the time. It's like it's downtime, this and that." So late 2020, I kind of like decided to take it seriously, and nothing. I ended up like trying to like thinking of a logo, thinking of like the concepts I wanted to talk about, what I would talk about. Reached out to graphic designers to create it, and some of my boys are like videographers. So I asked them to do like a little promo for me, and they did, which honestly, to this day, I don't know if people like it, but I love that promo. Yeah, and then I just kind of launched it, I think February 2021, so it's really only been like a little over 2 years. It's still very fresh. And now we're here.
Here we are.
Sitting with you, talking.
Yeah, man. I love, so the reason I like writing is for stories, right? So seeing a person's evolution, and especially you, right? I followed you when you were just a normal, like you weren't really, I don't even think you had started the podcast back then.
Really?
Yeah. And then you started the podcast, and then you had a couple reels pop off, and now, I got to meet you. So it's cool. I like seeing, that's like the American story. That's the American dream, right? Starting from nothing, taking a chance on our dream, saying, you know what, I think I can do this, and doing it, and then a couple years later, here you are, you know what I mean? And then a couple years from now, where can I be, So
100%, bro. I mean, I'm not even going to be humble about it. I'm nowhere fucking huge, but even if this ends tomorrow, like it's probably the most significant thing I've done in my life because I put myself out there to such an extent.
That's awesome.
And I've grown to such an extent. I've seen myself like change in not just how I perform, but like how I am as an individual. Like all these connections I've made, the people I never thought I would connect with.
Right.
So if it ends tomorrow, fine. But like I grew so much in this time span that I'm just like, this was its purpose, and I love it. Like I would have regretted if I had never done it. So
yeah, man.
let that inspire you to do your shit.
Boom. That's a real voice. No, I'm with you. I'm a person that I can't live with the what if. What if I would have done that?
Terrible.
Horrible. It eats my conscience alive.
Yeah, man. Fuck that.
Terrible.
I'd rather fail and just be like, right, now I know.
100%. Because if I fail and it didn't work out, I was like, all right, well.
Not just that, but then I lose respect for myself. Like every time you take like the coward's way out, that like eats up at you like in the back of your mind, and then you just gotta live with that shit, And it's like that's no way to. I'd rather just be like, you know what, I looked like a dumbass, but I did it.
Yeah, bro.
I'm
in my book. I write. There's a chapter where I write about keeping your word, and I write about it differently than most people would expect. Most people are like, oh, keep your word, do what you say, that kind of stuff, and I say, yeah. However, this is specifically directed at keeping your word to yourself.
Yeah.
So when you say, all right, I'm going to wake up at 6 in the morning, and you don't wake up at 6 in the morning, you have the, oh my God, I'm so lazy.
It's me every morning.
Right? So what happens, eventually you just like, whatever, I'm not going to wake up.
Yeah.
And then eventually what happens, you don't even try anymore because you don't believe you can do it.
Right,
and it's not that you can't do it. It's that you don't even want to try anymore because you don't believe in yourself. Yeah. So keeping your word to yourself is super important.
Yeah.
Super. That's a life hack.
We treat ourselves the worst. We treat other people better, like type shit,
Bro.
Eat the wrong shit. Don't keep promises to ourselves. All that.
Yeah. When if like I won't go to the gym by myself at 5 a.m, but if I tell my boy, hey, I'm gonna meet you at 6 a.m, I wake up and I show up on time. Like, that is crazy how we show up for other people, but we don't show up for ourselves.
Yeah, because we're comfortable with ourselves, and like the lack of self-love and all that shit, self-respect. Really, it's what it is. Because if you actually respected yourself the way that you respected like a friendship, you would not disrespect that person like that. So
100%. You wouldn't eat the garbage you eat.
No.
You wouldn't stay up late and not get any sleep. You wouldn't hang around certain people. right? Like if you're outside yourself and you see you hanging out with certain types of people, you'd be like, yo, I don't think you should be around those people.
Yeah, what are you doing?
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's interesting. The human psyche is like the brain, the way the mind works it's such a trip, you know? It's a good example of this. I know a lady, she just did gastric bypass and she lost a lot of weight. And I lost a little weight in the last few months. And she sees me at my house working out every day. And I told her, work out with me. Like,
La vieja te está mirando.
Not really. And she's not a vieja. Anyway.
All right.
So I'm like, yo, you can work out with me. I'm here. And she's like, oh, my God, but I can't. And I told her, bro, you're willing to give your boss 8 hours of your life. You're not willing to give yourself 30 minutes a day.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
It doesn't make it, when you put it in that kind of perspective, it's like, wow, you're right. Like, damn, that's crazy.
100%.
You know, so perspective at the end of the day.
100%.
Perspective.
And to what you said, everything in life is how you word things, bro. The right words can make anything happen.
Anything happen. Anything.
Yeah.
Very good. I've been in so many circumstances where just because of how I said something, like things worked out, and literally the person was like, bro, if you wouldn't have said this, we wouldn't. Yeah,
bro. Like, an effective communicator has like the world in the palm of their hand. If you know how to phrase things the right way, use the right words, tones, or even identify the moments when to say things, bro, you're an expert manipulator. Like you got anything in the world is yours.
Have you noticed that every success story I've ever heard came down to like one pivotal moment where the person met the right person or said the right thing, or it always comes down to that one little. I don't even know what to call it, but it's always that one moment.
It's a moment, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it always comes down to how they communicated. And a person that just received a message and was like, "All right, I like this message. I'm gonna buy into this person."
Sure, yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
I've heard it in so many different stories, different people. Even myself, I can say those stories. And you're right. An effective communicator really is unlike any other person on this planet. I think that's the one.
Well, you're in sales, you know. Like you have to have that gift, otherwise. You're not gonna sell shit,
bro. I know. So I've seen really good salesmen. So I put salesmen in 4 categories. There's really bad salesmen that suck. There's really bad salesmen that are good, but they're just not doing things the right way. Then there's really good salesmen that are bad people, and there's really good salesmen that are good people. So it's a combination of people skills and personality. Really is like skills and personality is kind of like
that makes sense.
How you put it together. And let me tell you, I've seen really good salesmen who are horrible people, and I've seen really good salesmen who are good people. And the only difference is really like, because they can both come off as nice or doing the right thing. The main difference, I think, is how they look at the world. It's like perspective. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you know this. So I'm into storytelling, right? There's the hero and the villain. The hero and the villain, the only thing that differentiates one from the other is the way they see the world. The villain, he sees the world, and usually in any story, he'll have some sort of, like, he'll have a scar, he'll limp, he'll have like a speech impediment, right?
Yeah.
And then the guy will be like, okay, I'm really hurt, the world hurt me, so I'm going to make everybody hurt, so everybody feels my pain. That's a villain. The hero literally just says, okay, I got hurt, I don't want anybody else to feel like this, so I'm going to help other people. They both experience the same exact pain. The only difference is how they portray it. Yes. Yeah. And it's in sales, it's the same thing. You and I could be saying the same thing, the same exact thing. If the intention behind it is different because of how you believe the world is or how you perceive things, that's what gives you the result.
That's a really good analogy. I never thought of it that way, but yeah, makes complete sense.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. And I've always, whenever something bad happens to me, because the pain of life happens to everybody, right? I've always been very conscious of that, of like, you just understand that this is coming to you either to improve you as a person or maybe to teach someone else a lesson that can learn from this because you went through this. Don't use it as, like, oh my God, you know, don't become that victim. You know what I mean?
A lot of people like to live in that victim headspace though, or they just have a really tough time accepting that. Like a lot of people I've noticed that are very like logic based, have a really hard time thinking that things happen for a reason. They just think that, it's just a bunch of random shit happening to me. And if it's bad things, then I just become angry and bitter at the world because I can't fathom for whatever reason that there's a lesson behind this or whatever the fuck.
Right.
And I think that's a terrible way to live your life. Even if, let's say, there isn't a reason,
Right.
but you give it a reason, you're shaping your own reality. Like, you're like, okay, and you're actually making fruit of the lesson. You know what I mean? Rather than just like, oh, just random shit happening to me. I'm such a little bitch.
Right.
Like,